Hey, everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, SonicWeb Studios is the answer. SonicWeb Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. SonicWeb Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple Music. And make sure you take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, makes great gifts 24/7 for family, friends, and loved ones. Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also cool T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. It's on the Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia store. Make sure you check it out today. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with a terrific lady who's an integrator and a facilitator of transformation and 20 years in the industry experience with creating psychological safety, group facilitation, and compassionate communicator. We'll talk more about that. She's also the founder of SOfit San Francisco SF Incorporated. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in kinesiology from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and a certified personal trainer in yoga education, also a therapist. And not only that, she's also the author of the new book, So Empowered, and discover the 5 layers of the body to take control of your life. And we'll talk about the 5 layers, the amazing book as well, too. She also received some awards. We'll talk about that. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown San Francisco, the amazing author of the book, So Empowered, the Fit CEO, and very amazing Lillian So. Lillian, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, Mike, it's like you've been doing radio for a long time or something.
Well, I understand you do a little bit of podcast work yourself, and you also have been just facilitating groups. You're also an author and integrator
Yes.
and facilitator of transformation and 20 years of industry experience. You know, I should be looking up to you and singing praises as well, too. And you also received a dozen certifications in fitness and various body modalities, featured in various publications. And you also have your amazing book, So Empowered, discover the 5 layers of the body to take control of your life, and a lot more. You're also the founder of SOfit SF Incorporated. And before getting into all that, Lillian, tell us how you first got started.
Oh my goodness, how did I first get started? I mean, I think I originally started my career specifically in fitness at a very young age. And I always like to say that my fitness career actually started when I was a very young child in the household.
Wow.
Yes. And it wasn't necessarily the happiest story per se, but it really did push me to get to, where I'm at in ways that I didn't realize. So when I was younger growing up, before I was even like in middle school, I was always criticized by extended family members. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily like my mom or my dad. It wasn't really happening at home. But whenever we would see extended family members like aunts and uncles and, various kind of third cousins and whatnot, they would always make comments about my appearance. They would always say that they were concerned about how I was so big and, how did I get so tall and things
Wow.
like that. Yeah, because I was, I'm Korean American. My parents are from Korea. They immigrated here from Korea. And, typically Koreans have a really, really, they have very interesting beauty standards. For the longest time, they always, you know, really kind of criticize looks and size and shape and things like that. And that was very normal. And it's very, very normal, although it shouldn't be normal. It's very normal for, a family member to see you after not seeing you but for a year or two and be like, oh my gosh, what happened? You got fat. Just
they should be
right to
saying
your
they should be saying the opposite, man. Man, you got tall. You looking excellent. It's like,
right.
what happened to that? Why aren't they doing it?
Exactly. Yeah. So rather than being like, oh my goodness, you look so healthy, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you grew so tall. What have you been drinking? It's more like, oh my gosh, why is she so, like, is that normal? And there was like a lot of concern
Mm-hmm.
around that. And so I think at a very young age, I got very, very self-conscious and very aware of there's something being wrong with my appearance and whatnot. And I'm talking like before like 11 years old, very, very young. And so I started getting very interested in dieting and fitness and exercise and losing weight and all that stuff, probably at an age that was, a little bit too young. I was concerned about these things very, very early on. And so, uh, while that got me interested in a lot of those things like nutrition and dieting and whatnot, and there was obviously some unhealthy stuff that happened during that time. Obviously, when you're younger, a lot of young girls are known to, go through various different body image issues and, eating, problems and things like that. But ultimately, that started to shift as I started getting a little bit older, as I started getting involved with sports and things like that. As I was in high school, I started using fitness and movement and exercise more as an outlet to, better myself and to also be part of team sports and to improve my performance and things like
Hmm.
that. And then that eventually catapulted me into wanting to study it in college. And so, I studied exercise physiology, went down a bunch of rabbit holes, and then eventually just kind of continued. It started at such an early age, and then and eventually by the time I graduated from college, I was already deep in the pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, I was already working in gyms. I had already been personal training. I mean, I was in it. I'd started working in gyms when I was a teenager. So that was all part of my life at a very young age. So that's how I got started. And then from there, everything started to tangent and obviously, take different paths and, grew different legs and things like that. But that's kind of that's the origin story.
That's really interesting. What sports were you involved in?
So I started playing basketball and softball. I started playing basketball at a very early age, like kind of like I played street ball, right? Like I played
Mm-hmm.
at the park. I was always, I was always a guy's girl, so I was always the only girl on the park, on the basketball court. I always played with the boys, and sometimes they hated it, because I was a nuisance, and sometimes, but then I was there all the time, and I made my way into that community and I made my way into being part of, playing ball and getting picked up and, getting picked up for pickup games and stuff like that. And it was a huge part of my coming of age, throughout middle school, high school and things like that. And I don't know, I didn't really think anything of it at the time. I just really loved playing basketball and I loved playing sports. And so by the time I, got picked up in high school and I wasn't even thinking about playing sports in the schools, but I was just recruited. I was asked to try out and things like that because I think, people would hear about, how I was always playing basketball and oh, like Lillian's really athletic and she's really into fitness and things like that. So I would actually get asked by the coaches to try out. I've actually never talked about that before. No one's actually ever asked me. So, yeah, and so next thing you know, here I am. I'm playing sports, and it's actually kind of funny because when I got to playing basketball within like a structured, organized way inside the schools, I really struggled because all of my basketball experience was playing street ball in the parks. So it
Oh,
was it was a
okay.
little bit different. All of a sudden, you're getting fouled for everything, and you're getting the whistle gets blown on you for every little thing. It was very, very different for me. So yeah, that was
Mm.
kind of a tangent in itself.
Now, did you say you got recruited in high school or college, or what part did you get recruited from?
Well, it was more in high school, and I
Okay.
think there was definitely some recruitment around, some colleges and things like that. But I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in playing sports in college. I really wanted to. It's actually kind of funny now that I think about it, because I remember thinking as such a young child. I mean, when you're in high school, you're like a freaking baby. I mean, you're a baby when you come out of college, But even in high school, I remember thinking my senior year being like, oh my God, like I don't know if I could handle this kind of lifestyle. All these practices. This is just really hard on the body.
Hmm.
And so I remember thinking that. At like 17 years old, I was like, I don't know if I could do this through college. This is really hard on the body. Like I think I'm done with my sports career right about now, and I just wanted to go to college and just focus on my studies. So I'm realizing what an old soul I was. It's like, oh my gosh, I was like talking like I was such a little old lady, and here I am, like, barely at the prime of my life. So yeah. But
Oh
yes,
my.
I stopped after high school.
Okay, and what was it one precise moment that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career? I mean, you've been around family members, 11, everything. What was that one precise moment that simply said, "This is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life"?
I think it was. You mean like as far as what I'm doing now, right? Like, okay, like this is
Correct.
it.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I had a very, very, very successful career in fitness. I was a big fish in a small pond for a little while right after college, and then I moved out to San Francisco. I had a great, a lot of success here. I did really, really well for myself, in the fitness industry, because I was personal training. I created my own programs and, I was running around the city. I had a lot of high-end clients. I was working in high-end clubs and things like that. But I think the precise moment for me was when I found myself so burned out
Mm.
from running around town. I was working so much more than the average fitness professional because most people in the fitness industry kind of are either like they're like group fitness people, they're like group fitness instruction teachers, or they are more in the personal training, one-on-one kind of realm. I kind of always did a little bit of everything. Even when I was only in fitness. Even when I was in fitness, I kind of taught everything. I was certified in a lot of things. I personal trained. I was very much an integrator even then. And
Mm.
so by the time I moved out to San Francisco after about, 10 years of having a really successful career, then I moved out to San Francisco because I wanted a new challenge. I was just burning myself out, just getting everything off the ground. I was doing so much. I was running all over town teaching. At one point, I was teaching 20 group fitness classes a week on top of personal training, about 40 clients, 40 hours a week. Now, that is
Wow.
absurd. That is absolutely absurd. But there was a part of me that took pride in that. I was like, look at how hard I work. Look at what a savage I am. Look at what a beast I am that I can do these things, that I work all day, that I can just go nonstop. And I wore it like a badge of honor, and I was like, I work hard and then I play even harder on the weekends. I was so burned out. I mean, this is clearly, I must have been in my youth at that time because I'm in bed by like 9 now. I can't even imagine.
Just like many of us here, it's like
Yeah,
9 o'clock. It was like the new midnight for most people.
right, exactly, right. So at that time, I finally got so burned out and I noticed that my mental health was declining, but I didn't know, I could not name it as that at the time. But my mental health was declining. I was replaying conversations in my head. I was starting to feel paranoid for no reason. I was starting to just, I don't know, I just started feeling, I just started doubting myself all the time. I was in my head a lot. And then I eventually had a panic attack. So after that, I started, I was like, oh my gosh, like I got to do something about this. Like I can't live my life like this. This is clearly not something, that is sustainable. So from there, I started down the rabbit hole of, self-improvement work, healing work, and things like that. Once I enrolled myself in learning about yoga philosophy, yoga sciences, and all that stuff, and I started learning about the 5 layers of the body, the 5 koshas. I That's when everything clicked for me.
Mm.
That's when I was like, "Oh, this is what I've been missing in my life that I didn't even know I was missing in my life." I did not realize, I intuitively knew this, but I didn't realize that I am such a holistic being, that I am not just a physical body, but I am energetic body, emotional body, spiritual body, and so forth. And so once I learned about these things, in my journey of yoga and yoga therapy and self-discovery, that was the moment that I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like this is the truth. I was like, this is the truth. This is the thing that I have to now continue to build off of. This is the thing that I need to continue to help other people with as well. This is what's been missing even in my fitness career. There's
Wow.
been this whole aspect missing about the mind body connection and spirituality and energetics and the whole thing. this just holistic approach to living your life was what was really missing that I didn't know was missing. And so I know that was kind of a long-winded explanation, but I wanted to give the background on that because it was realizing that something wasn't working that led to, which was a defining moment, which led to the second defining moment that was like, okay, this is it. I can't, this is what I need to focus my life and my career on. And wherever that takes me, I guess we'll find out. And so
And we certainly will
hope that
find
answers
out
that
indeed. We'll
question.
talk about what the five layers are. We'll talk more about the book So Empowered. Discover the five layers of the body to take control of your life and more as well too, along with being a fit CEO in just 1 minute, Lillian So. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 30 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books, merchandise, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia, and support the Mike Wagner Show with your generous gift on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific lady who's the author of So Empowered here on the Mike Wagner Show, along with being a fit CEO and also an integrator and facilitator of transformation, and got the background to how it came about. And let's talk about the book So Empowered as well too, and tell us more about the book and why did you write the book?
I originally wrote the book because I had such a hard time explaining what I do for a living. That
Mm-hmm.
that is the absolute truth. At a certain point a couple years ago, I was I kept hitting like against the wall, trying to figure out what exactly is the messaging behind the work that I do, right? It's clearly a mouthful, right? I'm an integrator, I'm a facilitator of transformation, I do all these things. It's like, oh my gosh, my least favorite question in the world is, oh, Lillian, nice to meet you. So what do you do? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's always the hardest for me because I've never, ever been someone that just does one thing, ever. I mean, even like I said, even when I was in fitness, I was a fitness professional, but I did a lot of things. I personal trained. I was a group fitness instructor. I did a lot of things. And so once I started integrating, healing work and self-development and communication, oh my God, I just threw myself into even more of a hodgepodge of things. I was like, oh my
You're
God.
expanding. That's the thing. You're expanding, and that's good.
Right, exactly. And so that's kind of where the original pain point for me was. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to explain succinctly what I really do for a living. And so I thought to myself, I thought maybe if I write a book, that might be a good first step, or that might be a good exercise for me in trying to break down what it is that I do. And that was kind of about as far as I had in mind. And so at that moment, once I made the commitment to make this happen, that was when I really started uh, thinking about like, okay, what is this? Then the normal natural question is, oh, okay, what is this book going to be about? And that's like really daunting because I'm like, oh my God, there's so many things I teach about. And so when it really came down to it, the reality is that whenever someone comes to work with me, any client that comes to work with me, they all start with the same process in the very, very beginning because I want all my clients to start with the basics. I want them to learn the foundation and so forth. And so the very, very first lesson that clients learn when they come to work with me is the 5 layers of the body.
Okay. And what
That's
are
what
the
they
five
learn.
layers?
So the 5 layers of the body is basically, well, first let me explain. Yes, before even getting into the specifics of the bodies, the five layers of the body is from yoga philosophy. So yoga philosophy, yoga sciences, yoga medicine teaches us that in order for us to truly uh, do yoga, and yoga means to yoke, yoga means to unite,
Mm,
it means to become one,
okay.
basically. That's what yoga actually means. And so yoga teaches us that in order for us to actually yoke, in order for us to feel the sense of wholeness, the sense of union, that we have to connect to and integrate all five of the layers of our body. When we are connected to and integrated with all five of the layers of our body, that is when we feel wholeness. And so the whole philosophy and science behind it is about activating, getting aware of, building, improving the five layers. So the five layers of the body now is not just the physical body, right? Like we all have our fingers and our toes and our bones and flesh.
Mm-hmm.
That's our physical body. And that's what we normally think about when we think about the body, right? My physical body, I have a foot, my bones, my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, you are also an energetic body. That's your second layer. You are a mental emotional body. That's your third layer. You are a wisdom spiritual body. That is your fourth layer. And then you are also a bliss body, which is your fifth and final layer. So physical, energetic, emotional, mental, spiritual wisdom, and bliss body. There's actually five parts, five layers to you.
Wow. Explain more about the bliss body part. That sounds rather interesting.
Yeah, so the bliss body is your innermost layer, the fifth layer, but I really think of it as your heart center. To
Mm-hmm.
me, it's the fifth layer, but it's not the
Ah,
last
okay.
layer. Yeah, I don't think of it as like your last layer. I think of it as your innermost layer. It's your deepest layer. It's your heart center. To me, it's like
Mm-hmm.
your soul. It's the true essence of who you really are. To me, your bliss center, the bliss layer of your body is when you is the part of you, is the layer of your body that is that is you at your best. It's when you are present, it's when you're happy, it's when you're in the love vibration. That is the bliss body. And so the idea here is that we all have a bliss center. We all have a heart center. And when we are connected to it, right? That is when we are present. That is when we are in our highest vibration. We are grateful. We're we're appreciative of what's around us. We're able to find the joy and the silver lining and everything. There's a sense of optimism. We have faith and things like that. All too often, we ignore our bliss layer. We ignore our heart center. We lose touch with our essence, our soul, our heart center.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that is when we, get curmudgeon, and that's when we get all rigid, and that's when we stop having fun, and that's when we start losing ourselves, right? Because we forget what we even love. We forget what even drives us, what even makes us happy, right? You hear about this all the time. It's like, I don't even know what I want anymore. I don't know why I don't feel happy. I don't know what even makes me happy anymore. And so that is when we lose touch with our bliss center. And so that is
Mm-hmm.
that's so important for us to take care of.
And is this part of the reason why we're so disconnected from our five layers with the stress and don't know what we do anymore and everything else? We're losing everything. Is that part of the disconnection?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so all of the layers are interconnected, right? I mean, when we are not paying attention to our energy, for example, when we're not taking care of our energetic layer, we spend our energy in places that we shouldn't. We spend our energy on people that are actually taking more than they give. So then that makes us disconnected from, who we truly are, our true self. Or, when we stop listening to our intuition, that gut feeling that says, I don't know about this guy, or I don't know if this is the right path for me. We stop listening to our wisdom spiritual body. That gets us disconnected. So over time, as we just stop taking care of various layers, we just lose touch with ourselves all around. So yes, it's not just at the bliss layer, but I would say that it's also at, all the different layers as well. That's why we have to take care of all of them, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise we'll get fragmented.
And of course, this also causes not just fragmentation, but it's also ripple effect. To maybe tell about that, maybe just give us an example of.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, if you are not taking care of your physical body, right? Let's say you are working yourself to the bone, you're not, that starts to ripple effect into you not taking care of your energy, you not paying attention to your energy.
Uh-huh.
So then you keep on taking things on, keep on taking projects on that don't actually, fill you up, that actually take your energy away. It doesn't really give back to you. Then that ripples into your mental, emotional body, where then you start to, feel where you start to feel resentful, where you start to feel angry, where you start to feel, you're starting to ruminate with, negative thoughts about, how you ended up here in the first place, which then gets you disconnected from, feeling a sense of peace and feeling a sense of purpose in your
Hmm.
life, which is your wisdom spiritual layer. And then eventually you just kind of feel, a discontent for life in general, which, leaves your bliss layer completely neglected. So from there, like as you are not taking care of your layers, that ripple affects into all these different aspects of your being, which then ripples effects into, the rest of your life of you not being satisfied with your job. And then maybe then from there, you're not as happy in your relationships, and then your relationships start to get compromised. And then and then when your relationships get compromised, then you start to feel like, that you have no support system, and then you feel more isolated, and it just goes on and on and on. So we have to take care of ourselves at every layer so that it doesn't end up, disintegrating outside of us as well.
And this is where you kick in as well too with your coaching and methods and everything. How's that differ from the your typical therapy or life coaching? How's that
Yeah,
differ?
I think, first I want to just start by saying I'm totally a supporter of any kind of help anybody wants to get. I think everyone has to start somewhere. I started my journey with a therapist. A lot of clients come to me, already working with a therapist or they've had experience with a coach and whatnot. So I think all that is great. I think the biggest difference between working with me versus, any other thing that's out there is that we are 100% holistic and integrated. When you work with me, it's literally a one-stop shop. It's like hiring a trainer, a therapist, a life coach, a healer, a friend, a cheerleader, a community, a support system, all in one. And so it's just so nice to just go to one place and know that you can get all of your needs met. So whether you want to do some healing work and work on unresolved trauma, to goal setting, to then like also, tapping into some of the woo and the magic, all that can be done here. And you don't have to go to 4 or 5 different practitioners to get all the things that you need, and that way you actually get the results that you want much faster as well.
And what are the type of people that need this the most?
I mean, obviously I would say anyone and everyone. I would say, so I wouldn't necessarily exclude anyone per se, but I think especially if you are somebody who fancies themselves as a high performer, a high achiever, someone who's really ambitious, someone who's really trying to do the most, someone who's really trying to get to the top, someone who wants to be a leader, an influencer, a change maker, a thought leader, and so forth. If you really are someone that wants to change the world in some way, shape, or form, that starts with you. So you got to understand that in order for you to achieve your potential, or reach your potential, or make the change that you want to see, you have to start by actually taking care of you first. So if that is you, if you are somebody who's trying to shake them up and trying to change the world, then I would say, you are somebody that needs to also first start by changing yourself and really making sure that you are living in your highest integrity first.
And why is the rest of the industry doesn't talk about this?
Why does what?
Why doesn't the rest of the industry talk about this?
I think that the rest of the industry doesn't really talk about these things because it, I think it feels complex. I think it feels daunting. I think it's just easier to focus on one thing at a time. I think it's become easier to just talk about things from a place of specialties, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even our Western medical system is kind of like that too, right? It's like you want to you want to go get something looked at in your sinuses, and you got to go to your doctor first, and then they got to prescribe you to go see an ENT specialist, and then from the ENT specialist they got to sign you off to go and get this special test. And so I feel like we've become very segmented and compartmentalized, and I'm sure part of that is because maybe it's just easier that way. Maybe it's just easier to manage, and easier to talk about because it's just so complex and broad. But I say do the heavy lifting up front, right? Instead, do the hard work, do the heavy lifting up front so that we can have long term ease versus choosing short term ease and band-aids and shortcuts and then creating a long-term, you know, journey of trying to figure it out on your own. So
Mhm.
that's the way I see it.
And of course, from your program that, a lot of people have come out there with great results. What are some most epic that you've seen as well, too? Maybe just give us an example or two.
Some of the results that I've seen.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think, oh my gosh, my clients come in to transform everything, right? So my clients come in to work with me on losing weight, improving their relationships, moving up in their career, starting a business. So whatever it is that you want to transform, I can help you with. But I think the most exciting results that we see are when clients didn't even know that they wanted a certain result. So, for example, I had one client about a year ago. She came in because she was just simply burned out. That was it. She was simply burned out. She was tired. She was tired of being underpaid at her job. She was feeling like she was being taken for granted in her romantic relationships. And she just kind of felt stuck in general. Right. And that was kind of it. So she just wanted to feel generally happier and just wanted to get unstuck. It was kind of like a general feeling more than anything. And throughout the process of doing this work by taking care of the 5 layers, going through my process and so forth, so many things happen only within the first 16 weeks, which is only 4 months. Within 4 months, she dropped like 20 pounds.
Wow.
She completely, ended up finding her energy. She started setting boundaries at work. She was able to, and then here was the unexpected thing that we didn't know that was even a thing that she wanted to work on. She suffered from really, really bad plaque psoriasis from the time she was a teenager. And it was so bad that it just became part of who she was. It wasn't even something that she had ever brought up to me. It's not like when I first met her, she was like, "Oh, this is something I want to work on. This is something I want to heal." It wasn't even on her radar. She just wanted to get unstuck and stop feeling so burned out. By the end of the 16 weeks, she was like, "Oh my God, Lil, I forgot to tell you. I've been suffering from plaque psoriasis for the last whatever, however many decades." And she's like, and I kind of forgot that it was even a thing because I just got so used to my lifestyle of covering up and this and that. She's like, I have not had any outbreaks in like weeks now. I was like,
Wow.
what? She's like, yeah. She's like, no steroid shots, no creams. I'm not using anything. She's like, it's just kind of gone away. And I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. And so through this process of taking care of the 5 layers of the body, not only does she lose a bunch of weight, not only does she start gaining all of her energy back, not only does she start feeling happier, feeling like her life was moving forward, she also ended up getting into a new relationship with her first healthy relationship where she feels
Oh my gosh.
totally appreciated. She also, got rid of her psoriasis. And then, shortly after she finished her 4 month process with me, as she got into so much of her power and whatnot, she also quit her job of 6.5 years.
Wow.
This is all within a matter of months. This is crazy. So she literally transformed her body, transformed her relationships, transformed her health, transformed her career, literally all within 4 to 6 months. And that's just incredible.
That is truly amazing. We'll talk more about the programs. We'll talk about you being the Fit CEO, and also we'll talk about a bit more about the book with Lillian So. The book's So Empowered. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the author of the book, So Empowered. Discover the 5 layers of the body to take control of your life with Lillian So after this time. We're back with author Lillian So of So Empowered here on the Mike Wagner Show, and you got some amazing programs out there. You're also the Fit CEO. And before we talk more about your book and some of the programs that you offer as well too, and tell us more about your business of being of part of SOfit as well too, San Francisco Incorporated CEO.
Yeah, so my business is, SOfit SF, that's the name of the company. But what I ultimately do is I help people transform. I help people get healthy, happy, rich, satisfied, life satisfaction all around. And I've been doing this, obviously for a long time, but the way that I do it is very unique in that, obviously have my own proprietary process, and I take people through, very, very particular process in what I teach them and how to take care of them, 5 layers of the body, and then I take them through my pillars and so forth. And so my business is a transformation process that is revolved around what I call the So method. So the So method is now basically what my clients learn, what they learn how to implement, and this is what transformed their lives. Beyond the program, beyond the process, beyond the method itself, a huge part of my secret sauce, and I actually like to say that it's half of my secret sauce, is my community. So I don't work with people just individually and one on one, but I also work with them within a community context.
Wow.
And that is because I really believe that when we are surrounded by other people that are doing the same work, and when we are in a safe space, when we are in a safe space and a safe container where we can be witnessed, held, seen, and loved as we're trying to heal and grow and improve ourselves, that accelerates our growth and our results. And I've seen that to work like a charm. And my clients that, you know, I have clients that used to work with me only in like a traditional one-on-one coaching setting, and they've switched over to now, my community, my business model, which is, in community with the process and everything. And they make so much more progress in such a shorter amount of time because of that community aspect as well. So it's a transformation process that is also integrated with the community so that you can actually accelerate your results a lot faster than maybe you would if you were in a more traditional process, I guess you can say.
That's really fascinating. And how about some other programs that you offer?
Yeah, so my programs basically everybody comes through. So I have two primary containers that people can enroll through, and so the breakthrough is one of them, and the boardroom is the other one, which is specifically for entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs and leaders.
Hmm.
And ultimately, we're doing pretty much the same thing, and in both containers. It's all about transformation. Whatever you want to transform, wherever you feel like you're getting stuck, I'll get you to the other side. And the only difference with the boardroom is that that container is specifically for people who run business or who are a leader or of an organization. And the reason for that is because something that I've learned along my own entrepreneurial journey and my own journey of being, a business owner, a CEO of my company and my life is that it gets lonely at the top. I know that sounds so cliche and corny, and I've
Very
heard other
cliche
people
and
say
very
that.
true at times too. You're right.
Yeah, and it does. It gets very lonely at the top. It's hard to really talk about certain things, especially when you are seen as the leader. You are the person that's supposed to be kind of taking care of everyone else. And so when you are in the front or at the top, like who do you now go to? Who do you run to? Who supports you? Who do you get to talk to about, things that are happening in your organization? You can't talk to your organization about things that are happening in the
Hmm.
organization. But if you are in a community of other entrepreneurs and leaders and business owners, you can actually have a safe space where you can work through the challenges that you're experiencing while also at the same time being supported and being loved and held and seen by other people who totally get it. And I just think that is so important for all of us along not just the growth and development journey, but just life in general.
That's so amazing too, and I love the safe space part as well too. Of course, there's a degree of accountability. And what are some of the results that you've seen, and what's been like the craziest transformation that you have witnessed?
Oh my goodness. I mean, there are so many transformations, but I think ultimately I think my favorite transformations are really when I see somebody come in who is so burned out. They can't say no to their business. They can't step away. They feel guilty for leaving their team behind so that they can work out, and they just don't take care of themselves. Their body's falling apart. Their relationships are falling apart. Everything is basically like falling apart. And I think the craziest transformation for me is not in what changes, because everything changes for them, but I think it's more in how fast it happens. I think that is what's so crazy for me. Because literally, people will come to me and say, I had this one client, she told me she's a retired doctor, and she started having anxiety around the age of 18. She
Wow.
came to work with me at 68 years old.
Mm.
That's 50 years later, right? So she started having anxiety at 18. She comes to work with me at 68. This is 50 years later. And she says, oh my God, for the first time in 50 years, I don't have anxiety anymore. And it was banished in 4 weeks.
Wow.
And so
Amazing.
for, yeah, so I think for me, it's not so much like oh my God, like their anxiety has gone out. That's cool, whatever. Like there's a lot of things that can banish anxiety. Um, I've had clients that come to me and they're like, all of a sudden their energy is up, their marriage is great again. They're spending time with their kids, they're happier than ever, they're losing weight. Yes, all those things happen, but I think it's the time that's so crazy because it's like all of a sudden they're like, I can't believe I was in literal shambles just 3 months ago.
Oh my
I can't
gosh.
believe, I can't believe I was unrecognizable. I can't even believe who I was just 4 months ago. Like, Lillian, how did everything transform so quickly? And I think that is really the craziest thing about coming in and working with me is just how fast it happens. And we call it a shortcut all the time. Like, my clients and I, we always joke about how this is the shortcut, and we joke about how the speed of Lillian is a real thing. The speed of Lillian, speed of Lillian. Oh yeah, yeah, you may have been struggling with anxiety for the last 2 years, trying to work it out in therapy and this and that, but you come and work with Lily and all of a sudden that anxiety is gone after 2 weeks. Like, how did that happen? I mean, it sounds insane. It sounds crazy, but it happens. And I think that is what is so exciting about coming into my ecosystem is that we can really accelerate. And who doesn't want fast results, I mean, we've gotten increasingly impatient with everything, with our smartphones and the
The
internet and
microwave.
all that.
Yes, it all started with the microwave. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So yes, in some ways this is kind of like microwaving your success and results without I don't know, I guess without the radiation or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's probably a perfect word. And how can people get more information about your programs and how they contact? And most importantly, how can people get a hold of your book?
Yeah, so you can find my book on Amazon, So Empowered. Just search me, So Empowered Lillian So. You can find it on Amazon. It was an international bestseller, which we're very, very excited about. Number one in multiple categories. And then you can also just find me. Oh, you can find everything you need at my website if you visit my website, thesomethod.com. So, thesomethod.com, you'll find information about my programs. You'll find links to my books. You can even book a call, if you want to get on a free clarity call so that we can do a quick assessment for you. So, everything you need is at thesomethod.com. Or if you don't remember my website, just Google it. You can put me in the Google, Lillian So, inside the Google, and you will get linked to all kinds of resources from my YouTube page to my Instagram account to my website and more. So do not hesitate to reach out, slide through my DMs anytime, book a call. All those resources and links are available to you online.
And that's so amazing. We'll check those out. We're with author Lillian So of So Empowered here on the Mike Wagner Show. Also being a SOfit CEO as well, too, and facilitator and more. And just a few more things, Lillian. We'd love to have you back in 2022 and beyond. What can we expect from you this year and next and afterwards?
I think what you can expect from me, what I'm expecting from me, what I can expect for this year is really two things. One, really deepening with my community, deepening with my current community that I have, that I've built, over the last decade, with my business. I want to really, really deepen with them and really take our work that we do to the next level in terms of our sense of safety, our sense of connectedness, and so forth. And then the second thing that I'm really looking forward to is serving the entrepreneurs. I really believe that entrepreneurs are, in many ways, amongst, with so many other people, of course, I really do believe that entrepreneurs are change makers, they're innovators, inventors,
Mm-hmm.
and they all need a safe space. They all need a space where they can also grow and be supported and, really be mentored to becoming the best version of themselves. Because as an entrepreneur, when you are an entrepreneur, you are the business. You are the product in many ways. Everything comes from you. You are creating it from the self. And so I really, I'm looking forward to continuing to serve the entrepreneurs and seeing how that ripples out into the world as well.
Oh, that's so fascinating. We love what you got, and we're so looking forward to it, Lillian. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
My biggest influence in my career, I don't think I can actually choose just one, but I'm going to say all of my mentors and healers that I've ever had. Anybody that has helped me heal myself, anybody that has helped me, just learn more about me, I would say I am nothing more than a product of that. I am an integration of all of the great teachers, healers, and mentors that I've had throughout my life.
Oh, that's so fascinating. I just love it, Lillian. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
It all starts with you. Success External success starts with internal success. So as you grow on the inside, your world, your career, your relationships, your bank account, whatever it is that you seek will grow on the outside as well. So you are where success comes from. So it starts with you. Pay yourself first, invest in yourself, take care of yourself, pour your cup first, and everything else will overflow as a result. I promise you.
That is very good advice. I love it. Very unique. I just love it, Lillian. Very good advice. Once again, we're with author Lillian So of So Empowered here on the Mike Wagner Show. Also, Fit CEO as well, too. Lillian, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back on in 2022 and beyond. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, and where can people purchase your book or check out your programs?
Yes, find me on Amazon. You can find my book on Amazon, Lillian So, So Empowered. That's two words. You can visit my website at thesomethod.com. You can Google me, put Lillian So inside the Google, and you'll get linked to all the things from my YouTube account to my Instagram account and so forth. There's so many ways to get a hold of me. No excuses. Just put me in the computer and you will find me.
We will certainly do so. Once again, Lillian, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back on. We wish you all the best. You've got a great future ahead of you.
Thank you.